Hello, welcome back to the Growl Podcast, and thank you so much for being here. For first-time watchers, welcome. I am the Lady Lioness, your gracious host, and each week, what I do for you is I hunt down the topics you crave and the people that you want to hear from. And if you've got that hunger, then you're in the right place. For our returning listeners, I want to thank you so much. You guys rock. The support, I appreciate it. This show goes live every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And together, what we do is we explore that inner growl, that undeniable fire inside of all of us that drives us to do what it is that we do. Please take a moment right now for me to hit like and subscribe and go ahead and smash that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on what it is that we do here on the Growl Pod. If you feel inspired to, please share a comment or a thought right down below in the chat box. Not only do I love your feedback, but the more that we engage, the more people we reach naturally in the algorithm. And that's what this is all about. It's about taking our inner fire and sharing it with the rest of our tribe. And I'm here to tell you that you are my tribe and you belong here. And I appreciate the fire that you bring to the Growl Pod community. And I love spending every moment that we get to spend together. Before we begin, just a quick disclaimer, this show and the topics that we discuss are adult in nature. So the podcast is really meant for the 18 plus years old community. If you are not 18, this show is not for you. You should turn it off at this time. We are consenting adults. Everything that we talk about here is from a place of safety, sanity, authenticity, and consent. So we've got a special show tonight. I mean, we always have a special show, but tonight I am deeply honored to hold space for my special guest and a great friend of mine who embodies absolute authenticity, fierce self-expression, and the profound strength that comes from honoring your ultimate truth. They are a visionary, a community pillar, and they give a voice to so many of the beautiful people in our community. And they really are someone who redefines what it means to live unapologetically authentic. So please, if you can join me, give it up for the incredible, the captivating, my friend, HiThereCatsuit. Hey.
Hello, Lady Lioness. How are you?
Fantastic. How are you this evening, my friend?
I am a little touched by that open. That was beautifully written and very, very, very touching. Thank you for seeing me in that way. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, of course. I'm honored. And from the moment I met you, that was, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. But from the moment I met you, your energy was just so like striking and magnetic, and the kindness and the amount of you that you bring to every exchange is beautiful. You don't wear a mask. You connect as you. And that's not everybody can do that. So I appreciate that about you.
I think that comes from the fact that my mom and dad didn't hide me in a back room when they had their parties. Even when I was a little kid, there would be movie stars at the parties or high-ranking politicians and things like that, because I was born kind of in Washington, D.C. society. And I just became comfortable with who I was. So I've never had a problem talking to anybody or talking to a stranger or talking to somebody I've known forever. I mean, everybody wants to feel as though they are seen. And so I've tried to see people throughout my entire life. And now that I'm getting older and I'm feeling older, it's important to me that people can meet a genuine person that sometimes has been called by their therapist so unselfish that it's dangerous that I don't take care of myself because I'm always worried about others. And I've learned over the past couple of years to take better care of myself. I'm not talking about eating right. I'm not talking about exercising. I'm just talking about being kind to myself And so that's actually why I started my classes, was as a reminder to myself to do as I say, not as I just spout out there. I want you to be kind to yourself. So I remind myself to be kind to myself.
That's important. I'm so glad to hear that. And that's, wow, how empowering from a very young age. And that's what this is what happens to us when we're allowed to bloom where we're planted, so to speak. That's beautiful. I love that you shared that. So I'm going to share a little bit about how we met so that the audience gets a little background. So we met at Test Fest last year. And I was sitting on this panel with a few other dominant women. It was a femdom discussion panel, and it was led by my nearest and dearest friend and mentor, Velvet Contessa, very close to my heart. She did a great job leading that panel. And I was humbled, really, by the impact that all that was said on that panel. And I was so honored to sit with all of these beautiful women. And that was actually the first time that I had shared on a larger scale my views and philosophy on dominance. Now, afterward, you came up to me and you poured into my cup some of the most encouraging words, and I have to thank you for that, because the validation and just the genuine value for what I shared that you shared with me was like, wow, these are my thoughts, but you validated that for me. And there's something so powerful in validation. So over the course of the year, we stayed connected. And we talked about a couple of different things here and there. Most recently, I appeared on your show, which was a great interview. It was so refreshing. And that's how I walked away feeling. It left me feeling like $1,000,000. So that's how you make people feel. And in addition to that, on a personal note, you were also there to listen and support me through something that I recently went through that was pretty tough. So I mean this when I say it. I consider you a part of my support system, and I hope that you feel the same way about me.
I do, definitely. I mean, we've had some pretty major conversations, but I remember that panel very, very well, because I am one that has great reverence to the femdom community. I remember the very first femdom event that I went to. It was outside of Columbus, Ohio, and it was put on by Femmes United, which is a wonderful group in Columbus. And I remember walking into that party, and immediately my head wanted to bow down. Not because I'm a submissive, not because I'm a slave. I consider myself a damsel, and I'm sure we will talk about that. But the fact is, it was a place of women's power. It was a place of feminine empowerment. And there's a great reverence that goes to that. And I heard some guys being typical guys, talking about typical guy things. And I was hurting inside, because I'm like, you're not getting the point. So when I heard you all speak and share your experiences, I know how hard you've had to work for that, because I see what you have to go through from the other side of it, and see that there are not some people that they just don't get it. And the femdom community is an absolute privilege. It's not a right. You have to be present always if you're going to be in the presence of a femdom. And going to the Athens Femdom Gala last year, meeting some of the top femdoms and prodoms from around the world, to be able to have heart-to-heart conversations with them, because Mistress Alexandra Balance was so kind to allow me to teach my kindness class to a set of prodoms.
Wow.
And what I reminded them was, even if something is transactional, you are making a difference in our lives each and every time. And those of us who accept the gift of femdom, the direction that you give us, the trust that we put with you, that's a gift. And that is something that some of us can't ever imagine having for ourselves. And as I said, whether it's transactional or whether it's somebody you meet and form a connection with, that is, as Olivia Akula, a famous Russian dom, calls the ultimate intimacy. And my friend Portia Lynn, and I will drop names here because these people are people that I know. I'm not saying, hey, I know these people, aren't I great? Because I'm just the damsel. But Portia Lynn put it in the terms of an infinity loop. When a dom and a sub stop giving and stop receiving, and it just becomes an infinity loop. What
I love
an
that.
amazing feeling that is. And that's what I'm hooked on. That's what I'm hooked on, is that moment, that feeling to give of somebody, give of oneself, and accept what is given back without control over it. It's the most beautiful time in life.
Gosh, I love that. I love listening to you describe that. It's you're 100% spot on. And
Well,
you've done a lot of reflection and analysis of those things clearly.
And I think, because I've done nearly 350 episodes of the Authentically Kinky podcast,
that helps.
I think about it a lot. I obsess about it somewhat, and that's a fault. I understand that. I dream of the moment that I can have a dynamic. Never had one. Started 3 times, never had one though. Because always something had happened, whether the person, one was the person went home and caught COVID. Another one was, I don't think she told her husband that she was going to have a dynamic, and she
Tough to
suddenly
navigate.
became very unavailable. And then the third wrote me a beautiful message in a purple notebook, handed it to me, and
That was it.
that was it.
Oh, well,
And I don't want people to feel sorry for me. These are my experiences. I'm not asking you to feel sorry for me. But when you hear me talk about in the femdom and the reverence that I do, it's because I've dreamed of being able to experience it in a journey. Scenes are beautiful. Scenes are amazing, but I've never had a journey where when the scene is over, there's another step to it. It's like reading short stories and never getting a chance to read a book.
Oh, catsuit. Well, you will.
I keep hoping.
You certainly will. Things have a funny way of aligning. So, perhaps that might happen for you after all. But yeah, you do. You have this gorgeous, gorgeous way about describing it, and you're clearly aligned with what it is for so many people. So I admire it. So let's talk about your beginnings. I want to roll it back a little bit. Let's talk about your origin story. And I want to bring it back to that initial realization of your interest in kink. And I also want to not just talk about that initial spark, but I want to go into the identity as a damsel, because that is a lesser known or lesser used term that it sparkles in my ears for sure. But let's talk about your initial realization. How did you first know that you were just wired differently?
I was 3 years old. Really? Come on. No, there's no way you're 3 years old. No. It was 1966. I watched a TV show at 7:30 on Wednesdays and Thursday nights called Batman.
Yeah.
So many people have this origin story. What's different about mine? Not a lot, in the fact that I was in love with Catwoman, and I was obsessed with the traps and the predicaments that would happen. And when Batgirl got tied in the cat's whiskers by Catwoman and the Joker, or found herself in the dungeon at Fog Place in Londinium, it brought something about in me that I didn't realize until puberty. And as I was approaching puberty, I had not received the talk yet. So I'm watching a Batman rerun, because they ran every day at, I think it was 4:00 on Channel 20, WDCA, Washington, D.C. And I'm watching Catwoman tie up Batman on a barbecue. And she has this big magnifying glass, but she's hovering over Batman, who's tied with his arms out to the side. And she has a whip, and she goes down and talks right into his face. And I'm going, what's happening down there? What's that coming out? Am I sneezing through my penis? I had no idea what was going on. And that continued to happen until I found out what it was. But every time it was somebody getting tied up, somebody in a cat suit. Emma Peel of the Avengers with John Steed and Emma Peel, which brought BDSM to England like Batman brought BDSM to the States. So by the time I was really getting into my teenage years, that's when aerobics was starting. That's when spandex leotards and tights were showing up. That's when Pat Benatar was singing and being so vampy while wearing either a cat suit or leotards and tights. And it got to the point where those words were so triggering to me that I could look them up in a dictionary and get turned on. So by the time I started actually dating, I was gone. I hoped that my date would wear pantyhose or something. I love summertime when they'd wear those really tight one-piece suits, because I could hold on to them and feel that.
The material and the texture, yeah.
And so I began experimenting, found some of my sister's tights. My mom was doing aerobics at the time, found her leotards and tights. And the idea of putting on an outfit where my entire body was captured within the outfit, and when it's zipped up, you can't get out of it unless you consciously make the decision. And to have something touching every single part of my body, that was bringing something that I couldn't imagine what it was. And throughout my entire life, as much as I wanted to have wonderful vanilla dating, and I did have some wonderful vanilla dating, it always came back to, I wonder if I can get her to wear spandex.
Catsuit, yeah. Here's a whip, honey.
And I had a college girlfriend who enjoyed it as much as I did. And so she bought leotards and tights. I had a dance store in Dallas that actually helped me with my obsession, because the lady was never judgmental. And she goes, "Ooh, I got a new flexitard you'll love."
Oh, that's perfect.
But that is my origin story. And it will give you an idea of how, now that I've just turned 63, this has been a lifelong thing for me, because it went from seeing it to wanting to wear them and wanting to feel that. And I always dreamed when I was little that I could grow up to live on my own and be able to wear them whenever I want to. And
here you are.
Here I am.
Well, I want to thank you for answering Sir Latex Man's question. he asked, what got you into wearing spandex outfits in the first place? And that was a beautiful answer of that. So I have to give him a shout out. Thank you for contributing that question. And his next question is, will you be visiting New York City for any events or the surrounding area this summer?
I will be there for Test Fest, which I am super excited about, to be invited to teach there again after all they went through last year to have me teach there. I will forever be grateful. And like FetishCon, Test Fest is like the lifestyle gathering that feels most like home, because it's not a huge gathering. It's not a party atmosphere. It's kinksters who genuinely appreciate kink. Yeah, they're having a good time, but the focus is on connections and how we feel about each other.
Yes.
And I totally felt that, and I'm very, very pleased that Tom and Narcissa and the group there wanted me to come back, and they become as close as a community as I actually have, which is kind of like high school, because in high school I lived in Washington, D.C., and both my girlfriends lived in New Jersey. So I guess I'm just continuing the tradition.
Destined to be back here. From the very beginning. Oh, well, I'm so happy I get to see you at Test this year. I'm so looking forward to that. And maybe we can get into some shenanigans together. Who knows?
Yes, please.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about self-acceptance. Was there in order to allow you to step fully into accepting yourself and your kink, your fetishes, your energy, was there any specific moment or conversation or interaction that you can think of that sort of unlocked the door and allowed you to step through it? Can you share that with us?
I know the exact moment.
Do you?
It was my birthday, and I had been a part of a kick group. That was before Discord. It's what the old folks used. And I was in a kick group, and we were talking about the fact that another person in the group had the same birthday as I did. And I said, wouldn't it be fun if we celebrated their birthdays together, but really upset Catsuit by putting the woman in a catsuit and ripping it off of her? I said, yes, that would upset me greatly. So around my birthday, I go to, I'm told to show up in Columbus with whatever heroin wear that I wanted to wear. So I showed up in a red leotard with shiny black tights. I think I had my fake boobs in, which at that time were a Nerf soccer ball.
You got to do what you got to do.
I walked in, I go into the Marriott in Columbus, and I see a guy who shows me a video of a Batgirl tied up on a marble table, and she's going, help. And he looks at me and goes, you better go save her. So I get up there, and I see a security guard at the door that looks like he's a Russian KGB agent. And he goes, get ready, and shows me into basically where the ice maker was. But I had all my stuff on underneath. So so my friend goes, are you ready? And I unzipped my jacket, and I was wearing basketball warm-up pants, and I ripped them off just like the basketball players do. And there I am in my leotards and tights. They went, oh my God. And I walk in, and there is a slave girl on a spreader bar, and then someone dressed up as Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, Catwoman, and here is this Batgirl strapped to a table, and suddenly the goons tie me into a chair and says, you won't be able to save her. And so I will save her. I said, Well, she has to go through her birthday beatings. And I went, what? And they said, prepare Batgirl for her birthday beatings. Well, she was turning 30. And so they start doing some really hard impact. And after 30, she was like, you could tell that she had gotten the most of it. And about that time, the Poison Ivy was played by Lady Catalyst, who was somebody I had met at a party, came over and just started caressing my face and kissing me on the cheek. And she goes, I understand it's your birthday too. And I went, maybe. And she goes, and how old are you turning? And I'm going, And she goes, how old are you turning? And I go, 50. She goes, 50 what? I go, 58. And she jumps up and goes, 58 beatings for Batgirl. And they took her and ripped her cat suit apart from the butt, totally ripped it apart, and gave her 58 of the hardest smacks I've ever seen.
Oh.
And afterwards she collapses, they untie me, and I go down and I go, are you okay? And she goes, I wanted you to save me. I said, I'm sorry, I couldn't. And she goes, oh, by the way, and introduced me with her real name. I said, I'm John. Nice to meet you.
It's so fabulous the way we interact on so many different layers, but that's a long time from inception.
Yeah.
To
and that's when I finally felt like I could be kinky and nobody was going to make fun of me for it. So playing at weekly parties in Cleveland really helped. I was able to accept myself. I had finished, I was separated from my spouse at that time, who never accepted my kink. And so I just decided I'm going to go all in and just enjoy my kink and see if somebody will guide me. So I went from being a sensation person who liked getting tied up to eventually impact. And then I just kept going from there and but it was always that birthday spankings that I couldn't have, but she had, that took me into my authenticity.
Oh, and the denial of it all. Poor thing.
She got back at me later by actually topping me and said, I hated every minute of it, so I'm just going to give it to you now. And she basically gave me all the beatings that she had.
Please and thanks. I'm sure that's great. Yeah, that's a long time though, from inception all the way to 58 for you to be able to really truly accept it. But because I mean, whenever it comes,
there were plenty of binges and purges.
Yeah.
By which I mean I'd buy a lot of cat suits and magazines and videos, and then I'd throw them all in the dumpster. And then a little while later, okay, maybe I'll start again. I mean, it was expensive. It was, there were some really strange things that happened involving my parents, where they came back and all these packages of spandex wear and magazines were there. And luckily they didn't know what Harmony Concepts was. So I was able to get away with it, but it was like, oh, what are you doing here? It was Hurricane Hugo. They had come home because they were out of power in South Carolina. So they ended up living with me, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Here we are. Welcome home. So talk to me about the damsel. Tell me about that. Tell me about that kink.
A damsel is someone that wants to be captured, but doesn't necessarily want to be rescued. Now, the damsel in distress wants to escape and wants somebody to rescue them, but a damsel gives themselves over because they know that that's the right thing to do. So it kind of goes into the submission side of things. But a damsel is one that is caught in the moment. and captured by the moment. I start all my negotiations with the same U2 lyric. I want to be stuck in a moment I can't get out of.
Mm.
And then I let the top figure out what that means to them, which allows all sorts of different ideas without me going, I'd like B22. Oh, let's see what comes out of the kink vending machine.
The vending machine, the good old vending machine.
Yeah. But the damsel is androgynous. Damsel will always wear spandex. Damsel imagines the feminine mindset, but I've never been in a situation where I have wanted to I've never had any thoughts of being trans at all, because I'm okay with having these parts.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a tremendous fascination with a female orgasm. And there are times when I will reach down there and go, God, I wish this was a clit instead of a cock. Because, sorry guys, especially when you're at my age, one and done, you're done. It takes you out of everything. I would love for those scenes to go on and forever and ever. And that's why I don't do a lot of, if any, sex in my scenes. I mean, there's some people that I'm close enough with that I will allow them to get out a vibrator, but mine's all about being in the moment. And a damsel, my very first public scene, I was placed on a bondage board. And the person at the time, this was like 15 years ago in Dallas. And so he said, well, we're going to do this thing called CBT. I think you'll be okay with that. And I said, sure, whatever. Clothespins is what she was defining it as. But she had me tied so tightly to the table that when she released me, I totally started crying. And she goes, what's wrong? I said, no, it's what's right. I said, Secret, that was Secret Vixen was her name. I said, Secret, for over a dozen years, I've always had to worry about what I have to do or think about what I had done, but I'd never been in a moment until now. And that's what totally made me into I want kink more than anything in the world. I mean, I've never been a sexual being. I'm not asexual at all, because I do love making out and enjoy those intimate times. But when it comes to tab A, slot B, that's not me that much. I'd rather do wonderful things with a vibrator for you than be worrying about if I'm going to be able to make love to someone, because my marriage ruined that. Because
it's so layered.
There was no intimacy for the last 10 years of the marriage. And that just, I forgot how everything worked. And when people tried to remind me, and there were things like Viagra that I'd take a full Viagra and it wouldn't do a damn thing. So be like, okay, I'll make other people happy. And then the one girlfriend that I had after my wife and I had split apart, she goes, I just can't ever make you happy. I said, but my joy is making you happy.
Making you happy. It's so layered, the way we interact with each other.
Yeah. That was a long answer for a damsel question. But
that's okay. You walked us through.
I tend to talk a lot. Hey, that's why I have a podcast.
You're a great storyteller. I mean, you really are captivating. No pun intended.
Thank you. I'd like to be captivating.
So what would you say is your biggest gain in terms of freedom and big feelings since you chose to stop hiding that piece, or stop tamping it down and fully express who you are authentically as HiThereCatsuit? What's the biggest gain for you?
Helping others realize that they're not alone.
Mm.
Once again, that therapy thing about he's so unselfish, he won't take care of himself. I decided I wanted to start teaching because I never wanted anybody to feel like I did, alone and nobody understanding me. You go through a 20-year marriage where you get kink shamed, not being understood, and having to repress things until I couldn't repress it anymore. Because when you're not intimate for the last 10 years, you got to do something. And so I actually got into a lot of hypno YouTube things. Heaven knows what I was putting in my head, but I would go get a cat suit because I still had a couple of cat suits from when I lived in Seattle. And I would put them on and just put on the headphones and just go away. And so when I realized that I wanted to use my public speaking, because I'd been a sportscaster for 35 years and was good at communicating, I wanted to help others realize that they aren't alone. Because my not alone story was walking into a bookstore. I think it was the Paris bookstore on Harry Hines in Dallas, Texas. And I walked into this adult bookstore in my freshman year in college. And I looked up and I saw a magazine called Beautiful Bondage Scenes. And on the front of it was a woman in a latex cat suit tied up in the air on a St. Andrew's cross and gagged.
Ooh.
And I went, holy shit, I'm not alone. If people are making magazines about this, it ain't just me. And that's what it took for me to realize, okay, maybe I'm a little strange. Well, then as I went through life and as I started teaching, I discovered that normal is a word we chase every single day.
I love that you said that. That's so true. We do.
And I decided that I was going to redefine normal. I don't know where it came from, but in the middle of one of my classes, I said, what do you think would happen in your mind if you could change the definition of the word normal simply by adding 2 letters? The letters being M-Y, my normal.
Mm-hmm.
My normal is that I grew up watching Batman and I had orgasms that I didn't know were orgasms that were caused by watching Catwoman. And the feel of spandex is what turned me on in my younger days. And that is what I craved rather than messing around with a naked female, to the point where I would go to strip bars and I'd be sitting watching television unless a woman had some really shiny tights on. I didn't care. I mean, I went to a place called the Club 21 in Arlington, Texas, with a wrestler by the name of Jack Victory, because I was a pro wrestling announcer on ESPN every single day. And I go, this guy says, I got to see Barbara Dare's shower show. I went, okay, I'll drive you, but you're buying me dinner and my admission. And Barbara Dare comes out for the shower show. And my friend Jack is like, oh my God, it's Barbara Dare. I've dreamed of this moment. And about that time, a waitress comes over wearing a suspender leotard, super shiny tights and heels. And she puts her tray up on the table. And I said, hey, how are you? And she goes, are you enjoying yourself? I said, my friend Jack is. She goes, what does that mean? I said, that doesn't do a lot for me. And the young lady said, really? I said, I'll be very honest with you. What you're wearing right now is a lot more attractive than her with no clothes on.
And how did she respond to that?
And she went, really? I said, yes, because you've left something to the imagination.
Mm.
You've left a bit of denial where it's not just there. And if I'm going to connect with you, I have to work for it. but it's your choice as to whether or not I get it. And she went, that's pretty cool. I went, mm-hmm. But if you think about it, that's what I love about catsuits or tights and leotards. It's a full denial thing. I can't get to you unless you give me the permission to do so. I get to feel every part of you and what that feels like, but I don't get to be with what guys are supposed to be with. But instead, I just am having this beautiful connection with somebody. I mean, I had a beautiful scene at Test Fest last year. I won't say her name, but we basically did a Catwoman Batgirl scene.
Love it.
And it was so beautiful. And I had waited. That was like the ultimate fantasy for me. And she goes, I love the fact that you're my bat kitten. And she seduced me using her Batgirl ways and her Catwoman ways and tied me up. And while I felt aroused, it was my heart that was beating, going, this is what you've always dreamed of. Take it in, enjoy it. And it wasn't going to be defined by whether or not I had a happy ending or not, because I didn't need it. It was the moment that I loved.
I love that you put to words that very thing that we enjoy, and why there's such a misconception surrounding BDSM, and that it's linked. It's one side, and on the other side of the equal sign, which is not an equal sign, is sex, and it doesn't have to be.
It's kink. It's not kinky sex. Now it can be kinky sex, but it's kink.
Right.
And I am not discounting people who find their sexual fulfillment through it. I mean,
absolutely.
I love the fact that some women can literally have an orgasm simply from impact.
Isn't that incredible? Or foot worship, even.
Foot worship, or having their nipples played with. And I actually understand that a little bit. People have said, I've never met a set of nipple clamps I didn't like. And that's probably true.
Let me just write that down.
Make a note. Yeah, a friend of mine, I got 2 birthday presents this year. One was a leather slapper from a sex shop in the Netherlands.
Oh, nice.
And I want to say it's called Sex Shop Du Coq or something like that. Something really subtle. Or no, Sex Shop Du Dam, D-O-M, Du Dam. And it's because the town was called Dam. So I thought that was actually cool. And then the other one was a set of what's called tuggable nipple clamps. Ooh. And they're the heaviest duty clover clamps I've ever seen. You know, clover clamps can kind of feel tinny from time to time. No, these things have weight to them and a whole bunch of metal rings to it that if you put them on and they fall off to the side, you're getting pulled. It's like, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm really enjoying this. Thank you very much.
You're fabulous. All right. I'm going to stop here for just a moment. And I want to just roll through the chat, because I normally welcome everybody, but you've had so many beautiful things to share, but I just need to check on the chat. Hello, chat. Welcome. Let's see who's buzzing. Habibi. Hello, Lioness. Thanks for the invite. Habibi here with all ears open. Well, welcome.
Nice wheels too.
And here's Stan. Hi, Stan. Stan does so many beautiful thumbnails for us, and he's just wonderful. Wonderful getting to know Stan.
Thank you for making me look good somehow.
Let's see. True, it's about passion with the tribe. Oh, very nice. Oh, Xanadu. Hello, woo-hoo! Xanadu. Yay. So excited for tonight's. Yeah, they are wonderful. Evening and welcome. Hi there, Catsuit.
Hello, Stan.
Batman, the animated series, unlocked a lot of kinks. Oh, yes.
The drawn gray Catwoman is sensual as hell. Yeah, I had, yeah.
We have a similar
from cartoons.
Yeah, from cartoons. Stan loves all that. Let's see. Xanadu loves your origin story. Let's see. Who do you prefer more? Catwoman? Okay, which Catwoman? Selena Kyle or Felicia Hardy from Spider-Man?
I don't know if I've seen Felicia. Actually, I've seen a cartoon version of it. No, I'm a Catwoman person. She wasn't known as Selena Kyle when I fell in love with her. She was the original Catwoman on the TV series was Julie Newmar. Eartha Kitt did a great job. Lee Merriweather did a great job, but Julie Newmar defined what becoming kinky was for so many people. And I think she was herself, which is what made it so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
But that woman just literally could ooze sex. What are my thoughts on the Boys and Invincible show and comics? I don't watch a lot of anime and comics, but I loved The Boys. I thought it was the perfect political commentary at the perfect time. Winner good guys, not really good guys.
Mm.
And I mean, the whole storyline of The Boys is so appropriate for our times today because they took the political media landscape of Fox and turned it into Vought and created just the most incredible stories. Was it disgusting? Yes. Did some of the things I saw make me go, huh? Yes. But it was a fantastic show. And all episodes are now streaming on Amazon Prime.
And there you have it. All right. Xanadu says, I can't wait to see you again at Test Fest. And I promise not to spill anything on you, or I'll try not to. Oh, that's the girl star.
I have water, and I may have to bring you this mug because it has a little rim so you don't spill it so much. But yeah.
And I want to be stuck in a moment I can't get out of. She can relate to this feeling. Very nice. Well, thanks for being here tonight, chat. I always like to see who's here and buzzing. All right, so I'm going to roll back. We talked a little bit. Well, you mentioned that you were a broadcaster.
Mm-hmm.
And 35 years, that's a long time. And you're, in a profession where your voice and your presence were curated for a more mainstream audience.
Mm-hmm.
You're multi-Emmy award winning. Let's not glaze over that fact. That's pretty serious.
I'll admit that here. I mean, it's funny. Some people try to use it against me at one time. I'm like, okay.
No. Here's your flowers for that.
Yeah.
That's your. But you've been a successful archivist, and now you're a podcaster. And I imagine there's some crossover. There are skills that your professional broadcaster, vanilla broadcaster version of you color the way you hold space for these raw and very deep conversations that you have on Authentically Kinky Podcast. So what do you think would be a couple of the elements to your vanilla broadcasting profession that lend themselves very well to your podcast now?
When I was a sportscaster, I wasn't worried about the score. I was always worried about the story, not worried, but concentrated on the stories. I want to know why they are who they are. I want to know about emotions. I want to know about the reaction more than I want to know about the action. And so that defined the way I would do interviews throughout my entire life. And as you go into the Authentically Kinky podcast, that's exactly the story I tell now, why you are who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And the interview style actually was stolen from Larry King. Larry King, before he was on CNN, Tulsa, hello. Before he was on CNN, he had a 4-hour radio show overnights starting at 11 o'clock till 3 a.m.
Wow.
And he would do hours, sometimes 2-hour long interviews in that show. And the preparation he did for that show was, tell me the guest name and why are they here? That's all the preparation he did. Now if you think of late night, you always see the cards and they do a pre-interview. Craig Ferguson was notorious for whenever the guest would come out, he'd rip up the card, throw it away, and he'd talk about what he wanted to talk about. Larry King did the same thing. The interview was based on, the next question was based on the previous answer. Or if he wanted to change subject, he'd change the subject and then go with that. But he never wrote questions down. And I always found that a wonderful way to interview. I have gone into interviews wanting to talk about something and then never touch on it. And then I go, can we do a part 2 at some point?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll miss really important things, but the stories that are told from listening and hearing instead, genuine listening instead of just hearing. I'm not thinking of what my next question is. I'm listening to what their current answer is. And it may give me an idea. I may jot a word down. But the way the interview goes is basically my curiosity. And I hope that my curiosity is the same thing that my audience wants to hear. So the final thing that I took from vanilla broadcasting is I wanted to make my podcast sound like a radio show, which is why I have announcer voices on it. I do use AI because I pretty much do everything myself. So I use AI for a couple things. I use it for the voice for some of the ads because while I'd love to be able to pay voiceover artists, I'm unable to do so because I don't have the budget. Until Clips for Sale came on 3 years ago, and then again last year, everything came out of my pocket with the exception of what Nookie Notes was able to allow me to use in software. But everything came out of my pocket. So it was a labor of love for me.
It is a labor of love. Yeah.
I've spent since starting the podcast, I've spent about $10,000 between teaching and the podcast. That's a choice. Yeah. I don't have that kind of money anymore. So I have to be very, very conscious of what I do. Yeah. Creative of what I do. Which is why when people invite me to teach, I really appreciate it if they give me a place to stay and try to get me from the airport, because heck, even Uber rides are like $85. And that's a half day's work for me right now. And that's scary because I've had to restart my career now 4 times. COVID cost me my sportscasting career. A change and move cost me my banking career or my corporate training career. And now I'm working entry level again because I got to pay my rent and I just have to keep myself going. And I went 6 months after which included the Athens Femdom Gala last year. So I had the most beautiful time of my life, followed by something that was almost as difficult as COVID for me, because I live by myself. I get very lonely. I live in a town that kink blew itself up here. I'm not going to get into it unless somebody asks the question, but this community went from being a loving and dear community to having people who wanted to tear it down, and they did.
That's hard. Yeah. And I'm going to give you space actually to talk about that. I'm going to create a little sanctuary for us to talk, about some of the harder things in a couple of minutes, because I feel like it's important to honor and acknowledge that it's not always rainbows and sunshine.
Yep.
And we have to kind of take life in its seasons. And that's how I like to look at it. We have 4 seasons in a year. Your life has many, many different seasons, and communities go through seasons. And it's important to not just to be real about it, to honor that fact and honor our space in it and our place in it and the way through that. Because what do we do when it's cold outside in the wintertime? You put on a jacket so that you can withstand the winter. Well, this is part of what you have to do. So we'll get in.
And I'll just mention, you talk about seasons. My father passed away, I'm going to take a guess, 17 years ago.
Wow.
I don't know. It's somewhere around 17 years. I may be off by 3 years. I don't Google his obituary because I don't want to know the date he died. I don't want to know the year he died. He died at 1:47 in the morning. I can tell you that because I was sitting there holding his hand. But the day my dad died was the day that my foundation went away in my life.
It's hard.
And so I've been trying to rebuild that foundation. But he was the last one that didn't judge me. He was the last one who saw me for who I was. Would he be happy with what I'm doing now? He might go, maybe not. But if I believed in it, he would absolutely be in support of me.
Yeah, he would support you.
And so I have been in and I've shared this on the show because I'm not ashamed of it. I've been in a depression for over 17 years. I don't overly mourn my dad. I miss him. I miss my mom and dad. I mean, my mom passed away 27 years ago. My family has never been close. My sisters were 9 and 13 years older than I was. And last Tuesday, my sister passed away. Now, we weren't very close, but I actually thank the world of kink because if it weren't for me teaching in Myrtle Beach a few years ago, I wouldn't have gotten to see my sister before she passed away since my dad had died.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Because we would talk to each other, but we never saw each other. She never gave up in her life. She made a lot of really, really bad choices in her life. She self-medicated, the likes of which you would not believe, because we're talking 70s and 80s and LSD and all that sort of stuff.
It's a different time then, yeah.
But the day my dad died, she became totally sober. She used prescription drugs, but she was not abusive of that. But she never gave up. I, on the other hand, have thought about it, but talked myself out of it. I mean, one time actually happened after a kink party when people just said, why don't you just feel better? Put your big boy pants on and just feel better. Because I was upset that a person who was going to do a scene with me either got in a car accident or just couldn't make it. And I was totally despondent. And I went home and thought about suicide because I said, nobody understands me. And that's cognitive distortion. I've learned since then.
Yeah.
But I say all of this because people think they know me because I'm on the podcast or I show up at a convention. They think they have me figured out. Some people think I'm an asshole. Some people think that I'm the worst thing in the world. And the fact is, anybody can have their opinion of me. I mean, when I was a PA announcer, people used to go, God, his ego must be huge. And I would turn off the mic and go, God, did anybody like that? It's like, I have no ego. I'm proud of what I do. But people don't know what other people are going through.
And that's the truth. You never know. You never know what people, and a little gentleness and kindness really goes, a little grace goes a long way. And, as far as we brought up a topic that I typically, I want to just put in a disclaimer for if anybody's having big emotions, you're not alone. Yeah. You're not alone. There's, I will link in the show notes some resources to help. And if I could be of help, of course, I care about, my community, my tribe. And, John, it's very vulnerable of you and to share this. And you are the strength I want you to know the strength that it takes to say the things that you just said to us, or even in general, to let them come from here through here.
Because I don't want people to feel alone.
Mm-hmm.
People think I have an agenda. And when I say people, my detractors think I have an agenda, that I'm trying to get with somebody when I want a scene. No, I just want to have a scene.
I want to connect.
He must be crying because he wants to guilt somebody else into playing with him. No, I'm crying because I'm sad or joyful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's 6'4", 250 pounds. I don't feel safe with him around. I'm wearing a catsuit. I've never walked into a play party not fully clothed. I haven't taken out my privates to around anybody.
And I do love your catsuits.
Thank you. But I mean, people think that they know me and they don't. People who haven't met me have said, well, we know all about you. How the hell do you know about me?
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me for saying, there's no fucking way you know about me. Because it's my normal. The things that have gone through my life are my life. They don't belong to you.
Mm-hmm.
I honor your life and what you've been through, but my kink was not a choice. So when people talk about gender, when people talk about orientation, when people talk about being neurospicy, when people talk about things that can be challenges for them, I realize it's not a choice.
It's true.
And that's the difference. I don't choose to be the way I am. It is in my heart to show kindness to everybody that I meet. Do I get mad and do I get upset at people who do stupid things? Yes, I am very prejudiced against people who do stupid things, but I'm prejudiced against the action, not the person.
Not the person. I love that you said that. You separate. People can make bad decisions, doesn't make them bad people.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. And let's talk about kindness.
Yeah.
I want to talk about kindness and your philosophy of kindness being your kink. And you've really become a leading voice on this concept. And I applaud you for that because it needs to be screamed from a mountaintop as far as I'm concerned. Why do you identify kindness as a kink?
Some of the most sadistic things that have ever been done to me were the kindest things that have ever been done to me. Some challenges that people have put me through to allow me to see who I truly am hurt like hell, but it was kind. My class, Kindness and Other Kinks, which has now evolved into a class called Being Authentically Kinky, talks about a number of scenes that I've had in my life where people use cruelty to remind me to love myself. I had a scene where a pro dom was going to give me birthday spankings. And she said, I'm going to hit you 60 times with 3 different implements. And I went, okay. And she said, Catsuit, I don't think you understand me. I'm going to hit you 60 times using 3 different implements. And I went, okay. She said, Catsuit, I'm going to hit you 60 times using 3 different implements. And when the number 180 went into my mind, I'm like, okay.
Oh.
And when she got to number 10, and I know it was number 10 because I had to count them out, I was ready to red out. Now, I tell this story in my class, and I will save it for my class. But the finish of the story was she wanted to know if I was going to give up, if I would willingly commit myself to having impact through leather implements on my bottom, and if I would give her that consent without any sort of hesitation. And when I did, she grabbed me by my cheek and pulled me up and held me. And that was the energy that taught me not to give up when I had bad days at work. I kept going back to that moment. You didn't give up then, you don't have to give up now. 4 o'clock every day comes about when I'm working 9 to 6, and I'm like, okay, in my set of 60, I'm at 50. I just have to make it through these last 10. It was the kindest thing that had ever been done for me. And then I was also able to set up scenes for other people that showed them kindness to themselves when they thought that they didn't even belong there. And that's how my affinity for notebooks came along. Is I did a scene in conjunction with another top, and I did the number one cardinal thing you never do in a scene. I interrupted it.
Oops.
On purpose. On purpose. And the reason I interrupted it is she was being hit very, very hard. And the top knew I was going to do it. And I went up and whispered in her ear, "You've never been more beautiful than you are right now." And I stepped back. She didn't realize that I had gathered all her friends. And each one of her friends was going to interrupt the scene too. And at the end, we all stood in front of her. They took the blindfold off. They took her cuffs off. And we were all standing there, and I'm standing there holding a notebook that looks a little bit like this one. I'm just holding a notebook like this. And she goes, "What's that?" And I said, "Open it." And it was written in the notebook was everything we had said to her. And I said, "I want you to take this notebook. And when you're having a crappy day and you don't think you belong, you don't think you're beautiful enough, you don't think you're skinny enough, you think you're unwanted, I want you to go back and remind yourself who you really are." And so now if a person comes into my life and they mean something to me, they will receive a notebook from me. It can be an Uber driver who told me an amazing story. It can be a coworker who's helped me through my first 9 days in a new job. It's a way to say thank you, but it always comes with sometimes the vanilla version of the note, but most of the time the thing that is on the back of my business card, every single one of my business cards. And it says, "The Catsuit notebook is given to people that I've developed a connection with in life. It can be a chance meeting or a long-time relationship. When I give you a notebook, it shows I care about you. Whether you've shared space with me in play, in class, in social situations, or a simple conversation, I appreciate you coming into my life. The purpose of this book is to take inventory of your small victories, compliments, good things, and other things that bring you joy. And when you're having a bad day, I want you to go back and read it to yourself and remember the positive difference you're making in others' lives just by being who you are. Be well and always be good to yourself. John, a.k.a. HiThereCatsuit."
Oh, Catsuit.
And the reaction that people have when I give them a notebook are usually the same, because I'll write in people's notebooks when I get a chance. If they take a class, I may have 40 people in class, so I can't write in everybody's notebook, but they all have a card in it, so they know what it's for. But it's my mom writing thank you notes. I mean, I have an entire metal album of my mom's thank you notes, or cards that she wrote the thank you notes for, of all her wedding presents, because my mom was married in front of somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 people at the National Cathedral. And she wrote thank you notes to every single one of them.
That's special.
You're lucky if you get a text going heart these days.
Mm-hmm.
My notebooks are my thank you for coming into my life. And so I'm very honored that Clips for Sale knew how important it was. And they actually had leather notebooks made for me that I can give to many of my guests, or if I see people in person that mean a lot to me, I give them one of the really nice notebooks, because I want them to remember to be good to themselves and be kind to themselves. So what does kindness have to do with kink? It can teach you the greatest lessons in the world. It can also remind you that the torture you feel about yourself can eventually go away if you allow yourself to heal. And as I said, and as I will say when I do a certain project that I'm trying to work on, don't know if I'll be successful, but it will say to anybody who ever felt alone, because I spend a lot of time feeling alone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't ever want people to feel that way. So I make it my goal in my life to make sure they don't.
That is so profoundly beautiful.
It's
It really
just who I am.
So I'm going in the comments, and I suspect you will recognize somebody here. I love this story. Ryan, let me see. I still have my notebook.
Oh, okay. That was somebody who probably was in one of my class. I can't see through the thumbnail is kind of small for me and my glasses aren't working, but and I also have, and Ryan, pardon me for not knowing exactly, but I always put out a disclaimer before every conference I go to. Yes, I may have met you, but I have tremendous memory issues and face blindness. And so it's not that people don't mean a lot to me, but sometimes it's just out of context because I meet so many people.
But clearly, what an impact here. You have in real time, you have somebody who.
Oh, I think I know who Ryan is. I know who Ryan is now. I looked up. Yes, Ryan's a very special person. I remember. Yes, absolutely. Very special person who taught me.
You know me as Curiosity.
Yes, I got that. I mean, after a conference, Curiosity was so kind to me and made sure that I felt seen, and it was beautiful. And so here's to you, my friend, and thank you for reminding me.
That's beautiful. So let's follow this notebook along, because I want to talk a little bit about some internal work and mindset and growth. And I think that this really fits, the idea of the notebook really fits in this particular section that I wanted to talk to you about. So for me, as far as a daily anchor, I found some of the hardest parts of self-trust, and I call it self-trust because I'm making sure that I'm regulating my decision making and trusting that I have everything that I need within me to make good decisions and put one foot in front of the other to do the right thing. So, one of the hardest things about self trust for me is maintaining objectivity sometimes through some harder things, perspective, um, emotion affecting mindset. And I'm just curious how that lands for you. Do you have a daily routine? Or something that you engage in daily, like meditation, mindfulness, or any other practices that you use that you can share with us to stay grounded, stay centered, and focused.
I'm laughing because this is just an honest answer. I will let out just a fuck every single morning. And every time I say it, I also say, I wish I didn't have to say that every morning.
Mm.
I want a day to start without that.
Mm.
And that would mean that I felt seen, that I felt loved. And I have people who love me. I know that. I mean, hell, I had one person today said, I'd marry you if that's what it took to get you over here, over in Europe. And I went, excuse me? And she said, yeah, of course I would. And we're not romantic. We're just that close with each other. So my biggest problem in my therapy life is the acceptance of love.
Mm.
Because when so many people give you compliments, oh, he's got a big ego talking about all the compliments he gets. When so many people give you compliments, you wonder how sincere they all are, even when they are.
Mm.
And so you talk about the importance of notebooks. I mentioned earlier in the show, I was starting what I was hoping to be a dynamic, and lady gave me a notebook, purple notebook in Batgirl purple with HiThereCatsuit written on the front of it. And inside she wrote, to Catsuit, may the shenanigans chronicled in this notebook be as delightful as you are, love. And then signed her name. Eventually, she ghosted me.
Mm.
We went to a play because we had bought tickets for it. I still have the magnet on my refrigerator and the key ring on my key ring, or key ring on my keys. But I never knew why she left or why she didn't start it. But I saw this notebook and saw this beautiful notebook. And I said, I will never write in that notebook. And what I chose was to have after scenes as part of my aftercare, the person I played with write in the notebook.
I love that.
And then it became people I met in the kink community. Then it became people that took my class. And now I carry it around with me. It's like a high school notebook or a high school yearbook, and I'm on volume 2. I'm still on 2025 because I'm only taking 2 trips. In my 2025 notebook, I can finish that up and get a new one if I'm able to travel next year. But I had a friend, Professor Gray, who was my roommate at FetishCon, and she took my notebook from me one day because she saw me absolutely crying and bawling. And I said, I really do make a difference. And she goes, you're doing fucking emotional masochism. Stop it.
Mm. Many of us do that.
And so when I'm having a bad day, I go back and read that. Or I'll go back and watch Black Mirror and watch San Junipero over and over and over and over. There are things that I'll go back and I'll watch Ted Lasso over and over and over. I watch things that remind me of the good in life and the connections of life. And every day I hear love songs and it makes me sad because I have so many people that I love. I taught a class called Simply Love. By the way, to the person who went to my class at Reef and gave me a 1 review out of 1 out of 10, calling me an incel who hates women and doesn't understand that my romantic energy is actually just me being a typical male or something like that. It was a beautiful review, one of the best I've ever read. And so I wanted to thank that person for writing that review. But I go back and I look at this notebook and I see the difference I've made in people's lives. And I know that's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
One of the 4 agreements from the book, The 4 Agreements. Hey, yes. What do you know? I actually have it right here. Given to me by a coworker 5 years ago, and I never read it. I'd never read any books until I started working my new job, and suddenly I've read 2 now. What?
Wow.
I usually wait for the movie. But one of the 4 agreements is don't take anything personally, yes. Whether it's something negative or something positive. But I have to learn to accept the love because I've been waiting for the other shoe to drop. And it's not that I'm a pessimist, but I have a long history. I have one friend who says, I don't know of anybody who's had so many dates or so many things called off at the last minute than you do. To the point where I expect that's going to happen. So I quit having expectations. And I only have anticipations, which is another thing I teach in my class. Because if you erase expectations from your mind, you can't be disappointed. You can feel disappointment, but you can't be disappointed because if you put an expectation in your mind, you've already written it in your mind and it can't be changed. And it even has an epilogue to it. So anything less than what you expected is a disappointment.
You're right.
And so I quit having expectations. And right now, because it's just been a difficult part in my life, and you and I have been talking a lot right now, I don't have any expectations other than I'm going to Test Fest and I think I'm going to FetishCon. And I will see wonderful people. And I believe I'll have the opportunity to play. But I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a convention or a play party and never happens. Again, not to make you feel sorry for me, but as a single person who's 6'4", weighs 250 pounds, is a male appearing person who's 63 years old, I am the devil incarnate to so many people in the kink community.
And that's a shame, yeah.
And yet when I came out as genderqueer a few years ago, members of the community attacked me, saying I was uneducated, not knowing how I had grown up in my life, going, God, I wish I could be the female damsel and shed this male skin that has expectations all over it.
Incredibly narrow-minded, and for and that happens. I mean, we're people, right?
Yeah.
So we are fallible creatures.
But again, you don't know somebody until you actually see them.
You're so right.
And what's the other thing in the 4 agreements? Don't make assumptions.
Correct.
How many assumptions have been made about me? Well, God, if he's 6'4", 250 pounds, he must intimidate everybody he sees. God, you can't feel safe around that guy. Can I change my physical appearance? What if I don't even talk to you? Is walking around what makes you feel not safe around me? Because other people have done things to you? Or is it that you just don't like me? Fair enough. But don't deny me the opportunity to see my friends just because you don't like me. It's called gatekeeping. And yes, you're seeing Catsuit a little upset and angry.
And you know what? That's okay, because every version of Catsuit is a valid and seen and heard version of Catsuit. At least in this space.
Yes.
In this space.
And thank you for mentioning space. The kink world and the people who I call, and I'm this is going to come out the wrong way, but the militant safety people, that you have to have an absolutely safe space and there can't be any hint of any impropriety, which is why I have to put things like, hey, if you enjoy my classes, I can't talk about playing with you because the rumor about my classes is that I use it to groom people to play with me. The gossip that is put out by the people who are the same people who say they don't feel safe. And I'm totally calling it out right now. Nobody who's been to my class has been somebody that I have consciously negotiated play with based on my class. I have had somebody come up to me saying, I really enjoyed your class and I really enjoy your energy when you play. I would love to be able to give you a flogging because I want to see what it's like. And I said, yes. I said, as long as you don't understand there's no power thing going on here. And you came and asked me, I didn't come seeking you out. So this safety thing really started to bother me, especially when I was banned at my normal play space in Columbus, Ohio, where I have dozens of friends before their hotel takeover, where I had a full schedule of scenes planned. And they said the two reasons were people don't feel safe around you, and you wrote a LinkedIn message to someone, and that was totally crossing a boundary, when the person had actually written me a LinkedIn message years before saying, hey, can you write a recommendation so I can be a kink educator?
So then it was valid.
Just like if you sent somebody a text or a Facebook thing, and it was a private message. Actually, it's not so private because they copied and pasted it, and it's on their FetLife profile right now, along with dozens of comments. What a shithead. What an asshole. How dare he out you like that? It was a private message. To someone who I had a good relationship with, and suddenly they decided that I was going to be their target. I was going to be the person that could not be, I had to be deplatformed no matter what. And I wrote about some of this on FET today in coming up.
Yeah, in that post, yeah. And that was very raw. And I felt you through that.
But here's what I want to say to every kinkster that is out there. We all have our risk profiles. Safety is not guaranteed. We all do the best that we can. If we find ourselves in an uncomfortable position, we either remove ourselves from it or choose to stay away from it.
Mm-hmm.
That is called a brave space. And when I went to a beautiful kinky bingo night, the facilitator read this poem before the event, and it changed my life. Because
What poem was that?
It's called Invitation to a Brave Space.
Mm.
And I will read it for you.
Please. I would love that. And I'll link that in the show notes.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
It's by Mickey Scott Bay Jones. Together we will create a brave space because there is no such thing as a safe space. We exist in the real world. We all carry scars and we all have caused wounds. In this space, we seek to turn down the volume of the outside world. We amplify voices that fight to be heard elsewhere. We call each other to more truth and love. We have the right to start somewhere and continue to grow. We have the responsibility to examine what we think we know. We will not be perfect. It will not always be what we wish it to be, but it will be our brave space together, and we will work on it side by side. Think of any place you've ever gone. Are there predators at spaces? Absolutely, there are. We do our best to be informed, but we don't use the gossip of trying to make people into things when they're not. Have you taken the time to know someone? Most of the people that have made the accusations towards me, I haven't seen in years. They bring up a time when I was coercing people by using my vulnerability and crying to guilt them into playing with me and claiming they were the person I was supposed to play with, which was wrong. But you heard me tell that story. I was suicidal. I went home that night.
It's hard.
Do I ask people if they'd be willing to play if I've had a rough night? You have to ask in order for anything to happen. Do I expect you to comply with my wishes? Listen to my demands? No, I'm asking you a question. You can say yes, you can say no. Both are valid. So when I asked somebody after I had had a really tough night to attach my cuffs to a piece of furniture so I could get out of my head,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, yeah, I can do that. And then I think it was 4 years later saying that I had a consent violation against me by forcing them to top me. And they went all over FetLife calling me a consent violator. And then suddenly there are message boards saying one of the educators that's out there is one of the biggest consent violators with dozens of consent violations against him for coercing people into playing with him. And people actively calling organizers of places where I had applied to teach and saying, you have to deplatform him. He is a menace to the community. And he has dozens of consent violations.
Wow.
talk to the NCSF and ask them how many consent violations I have, and you might hear a chuckle, because sometimes they may actually go, "Oh, you're talking about catsuit, aren't you?" And then they just laugh and they go, "Catsuit's perfectly fine with us."
It's it's hard. It's hard in the presence of dissent and malice. It's really hard to maintain our values. And I want you to know that here in this space, I wanted to give you a safe space to be seen and heard and honored, because we deserve to be honored, or we should be honored. I don't want to use the word, throw around the word deserve, but we should be honored. And I know we touched on a lot of things that were raw for you. And I know that there have been a lot of cases where you have been wrongfully accused, or just there's been things that shouldn't have been. And I am sure, much as I do, that in points like that, you really lean into your core values like integrity and kindness. And those are your sword and shield, so to speak, against the misinformation and the malaligned intentions of some people. Because I know, for me at least, when I encounter things like that, that becomes my kindness and my smile and my, this is, as they say, kill them with kindness. But
Yeah.
it's more than that. It's I'm true to myself. Anybody can call me a chair a million times, and I'm never going to be a chair.
Yeah.
So
it's gossip. It's the black
gossip.
magic of gossip. And I had written that, another thing from the four agreements. And I also said, I am going to be impeccable in my word.
Yes.
What does that mean? I believe every single thing I say with all my heart. So I will say to the person who said I forced them to top me, we had an interpersonal disagreement. Nothing was wrong the day it happened. Nothing was wrong in the days after it happened. But your perspective changed when you aligned yourself with people who had sought to not accept me as gender fluid. And then you got friends after friends, and suddenly all this gossip started. And your friends were calling people until a half hour before I taught, saying, "You're really going to let this guy teach?" Bombarding them with messages. Having a space that I absolutely love and had always dreamed of going to, break a $600 contract with me, saying they threatened to boycott us if we had you teach. So rather than calling out those spaces, I would rather say this. You notice I haven't used any names.
I appreciate that.
Going to, because that's privacy. But here's what I am going to do. I am going to name names in Test Fest, Mistress Shari and Mischief Matters, Fetish Con, the Athens Femdom Gala, the Fetish Crew here in Ohio. These are people who got all these messages and said, no, we believe in Catsuit. We believe in his message of kindness. I want to call out Reef for saying, we brought Catsuit up here because the world needs more kindness, and that's why we wanted him to teach. And I will always feels so amazing that Susie said that in her opening ceremonies. I have hundreds of entries in my notebooks telling them that I made a positive difference in their lives.
It's beautiful.
I do have reviews that hated my class.
I mean, like anything.
Everyone is valid. But if I've said anything today, is that my work in this community is for the following reasons. Number one, I don't ever want anybody to feel alone, and I want them to feel authentic in their kink. Number two, I want people to feel empowered to be who they want to be. And number three, I want to experience the things that I've seen other people experience. I want to know what it's like to be on the end of a collar and leash. I want to know what it's like to be totally taken on a trip that I can't take anymore, and I fully submit to someone. I want to feel a connection with somebody where the energy is going through like that beautiful infinity loop. So if people say, well, he's got an agenda to play. Yes, I do. I want to experience what I dream about and what I work through and what I talk about and what I do graphic design with every single day, to the point where it hurts to look at a picture of somebody being tied up because I want to be them. Oh, he's crying now. He must want us to feel sad for him. No, this is my emotion telling you what I want to be. And if you have a problem with that, that's a problem for you.
Yes.
And you have to take accountability if you feel a certain way based on a way that I feel. Because it's not me that's causing you to feel that. It's how you're processing it through your own mind, your own heart, your own soul, your own guilt, your own shame, your own happiness, your own joy. It is authenticity. It is being who I truly am. And if you hate me for being who I truly am, then you're actually probably part of the problem that this country has right now, which is so much based on hate and misinformation. And if you wonder why I've been super depressed this week, seeing Stephen Colbert go off the air.
Breaks my heart, yeah.
But even more so, the death of CBS News Radio. And why am I upset about that? For 99 years, they reported to the world what they needed to know. It wasn't an opinion thing. It was reporting. And last Friday night, they aired their last top of the hour newscast. Now, when I grew up, even if it was a pop radio station or Howard Stern, yes, I listened to Howard Stern growing up when he was on DC 101 and satellite radio didn't exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know what Robin Quivers did? The news. Somewhere along the line, people decided that they need not to be informed. They'd rather have another commercial or another song rather than letting you know what is happening in the world, because now you have deniability. I didn't know that was happening. And now you get your news off social media or from biased on both sides news outlets.
So true. Yeah, there's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of
But that's why I was so sad to see that institution go.
Yeah.
And why does that mean something to me? Because the thing that brings me together with you, Lady Lioness, and you, the people in the audience, is a thing called communication. The ability to listen to each other's ideas. We're not always going to agree, but if we consider them and consider what it means to us, that's the key. What kink means to me is something that I am absolutely 100% in love with, because I believe it can take me to a place that I've only dreamed about. And I dream every single day. And when people deny those dreams because of their own petty gossip or their own character flaws, because I'm getting to teach around the world and they're not, I'm sorry. I never did anything to you to keep you from doing what you're doing. I worked damn hard to do what I do.
You sure did.
And that's why I can be proud of who I am. And that's why when I go to bed tonight, I'll know I've done my best, which is another one of those 4 agreements, isn't it?
Sure is. And you are truly leaving, and I have a section about this in our interview that I wanted to walk through. You are leaving a legacy, Catsuit. You really are.
I genuinely hope so.
You are documenting so many people's and yourself, and the journeys and the connections and the beauty and the exchanges and the information that you put out is just so real. You're so real. And that is in short supply. And to your point, you are delivering this beauty and this platform to people, and you're leaving a legacy. I want to ask you, what cultural shift do you hope to have ignited with your podcast, on your platform, telling your story? What shift in mindset do you hope for people?
That fear is not a reason to keep people from living their authentic life. Just because you've read a book, gone to church, been told one story, does not give you the right to tell me how I can live my life and how I can go through my journey of trying to understand who I am. For me, the pain that I feel from impact is easier than the pain I feel in my head and my soul. To be bound allows me to feel safe from an outside world that I don't feel safe moving around in, because there's so much hate out there. I want people to learn that what we do with its consent, with its agreements, with not accepting but embracing who the other people are, that we will have people who are male, female, no gender, every gender, where it was not a choice in their life to feel a certain way, whether it be orientation or gender. I just turned 63. I grew up a homophobic conservative in Washington, D.C. that was scared of the world. I moved to Seattle, Washington, and discovered an entire group of people who I had never hung around with that were the most beautiful people I ever met. I got involved in theater, where it didn't matter if you put your pants down in the middle of a rehearsal, nobody gave a damn. And then in my later years, learned what a non-binary person was, learned what a gender fluid person was. I looked in not the mirror, but into my soul, and found an androgynous being who had been thinking that way their entire life. I've had so many people who've made, before I was authentically out and kinky, I've had so many people say the following quote, "You are the gayest thinking straight man we've ever met." And I took it as an absolute compliment.
Yeah.
My son, I don't know if it's a legend or if it's a story or if I've just made it into a legend, but I know something like this happened. My son walked into his new high school in Texas on the first day, and somebody called him the derogatory word for a gay person. And he said, "What did you call me?" And the guy repeated the slur, and he goes, "If you're saying that I am a kind person that happens to like people of my same gender and a person who is loving, thank you. I like girls, but I have met many gay people who are amongst the most wonderful people I've ever known. So thank you for the compliment." And he walked away.
Wow. Good for him.
That's the kind of world I want to live in, where we can be who we are and don't have to apologize for it.
Love that.
So you're asking me what I want to leave. I want to leave a world where we can just be who we truly are and never once feel ashamed of being that. Because I'm catsuit. I'm a damsel. It's who I am. It's what I dream to be and what I hope I can live up to.
Beautiful. That's
Thanks.
gorgeous. You really have a way of using words as an art. You really do.
My dad gave me that gift. My mom too. My mom was an amazing writer. My dad was an amazing writer. But everything, I did a TED talk once called "My Mother's Funeral, A Lesson in Kindness." You can look it up. It's there. I did it at TEDx SMU. I think it's been nearly 15 years now. And it was about that's what my Kindness and Other Kinks class was actually based on. That if you treat everyone with the same love and kindness, you have the ability to have so many more rich experiences in your life, as opposed to treating somebody like they're the greatest gift to the world, or somebody who can barely make ends meet. Because my mom, at her funeral, had the gardener, the owner of a gift shop, president of a major university, and the grandchildren of the president of the United States, all at her funeral. And why did all those different people attend her funeral? because my mom treated them all the same way. Because they were humans. They were people. So when people say, where did you get your kindness? I learned it on that day, standing in a pulpit, trying to say thank you to my mom for living. Mm-hmm. And so every single day, I try to give that to others while trying to figure out why the world doesn't give that to each other.
It's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a shame.
I believe in, I'm not religious, but I believe in love. I believe love is a network that holds us all together. And some people are trying to disconnect from that network in the name of God. And I find that sad. Yeah. And I realize we've talked about politics. We've talked about religion. We've talked about sex. And some people may go, oh, that cat suit's full of shit. That is your opinion. You may think that, but I will tell you that I will fight for you to have that opinion.
Absolutely. It's the beauty of dissent. Is allowing grace for it.
It's the beauty of communications. Mm-hmm. Watch 1984 and see what communications can turn into. Mm-hmm. Watch the news and see what communications can turn into.
So speaking of news, what's next in the Hi There Catsuit story? What's up next? What are you getting into?
I'm so hesitant to say it because it means that I'll actually have to do it.
Do it. Yeah.
I have had a lot of people ask me to write a book. And considering I've just read my first 2 books in more than a dozen years, I'm compiling the ideas for a book called Being Authentically Kinky. And I have the outline for it. I have the general stories that will go in it. I need to compile interviews from people all around the world because I don't want it just to be my voice. Mm-hmm. I can tell some good stories, but I want it to be other people's voices. I know I've asked you to be a part of it. I've asked Queen Anna Blue out of St. Louis to be a part of it. And there's a number of other people that I hope to do it. Will I be able to do it? I don't know. I only have so many hours in a day, and I'm going to start working every single night on my real job, on my vanilla job. Uh-huh. So I don't know if I'll be able to pull it together, but I'm hoping to.
Well, you see, one of the things that will be the secret to your success is when I becomes we. Mm-hmm. And I know that I would 100% support you.
Thank you.
Among many of the other people I'm sure that you've spoken to about it. So when the I becomes we, I think you'll have something magical happening.
It's starting. There's notes in here.
Look at that. Now, sneak preview.
Here's the funny part about it. Writing it in the poly composition notebook, so I can't write about monogamy in here. And
no.
There you go. There's your dad joke.
That was perfect. Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure everybody else is. What I would love to do with you before we go is I want to do a little game and end on a high note.
Sounds wonderful.
We're going to do the wheel. I usually do a spinning wheel. Yay. Let me just pull it up on the screen.
I am not Ryan Seacrest. But I can do the Carol Merrill flip. For those of you who are old enough to remember Carol Merrill.
All right, so let's get the screen up here.
Big money, big money, big money. No whammies. Oh, wait a minute. That's pressure luck.
All right, here we are. Here is your wheel, and I personalized it for you.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that pretty?
Very cool.
All right, so here we go. We're going to spin it. There's little mini prompts in here, and I'll give you the little mini prompt when we land on it.
Okay.
Away we go.
No bankrupt. No bankrupt. Fashion.
All right.
Oops.
Fashion oops. And what I mean by fashion oops is, have you ever had a wardrobe malfunction or experienced any snags with any of your cat suits that threw you for a loop?
I was doing a scene with my queen at, I think it was Winter Wickedness in Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked me to wear an outfit that she could cut apart. And so she tied me down to a spanking bench, and she was doing impact, and she started cutting my suit. And then she hit me really hard, and I shook, and a fake silicone boob flew out of the suit and just started rolling around across the floor. And people are going, "There's a boob rolling across the floor."
Oh no, that's quite a fashion oops.
Yeah.
All right, we're giving it another spin.
No bankrupt, no bankrupt.
No whammy, no whammy. All right, A+ aftercare. So imagine this. You just finished an intense scene, but instead of standard aftercare, you want to give a full 5-star or get a full 5-star experience. What would you say would be the most ridiculously over the top, luxurious thing that you've ever experienced, whether from whichever side, after a scene?
I can actually give a story on this, a true story.
Amazing.
I had done my first impact scene with somebody who I had looked up to for a really long time. And we did our aftercare on a bed, because there was a bed out in the middle of the play space. And we cuddled and held each other. And it was so connective. And she said to me, "I have always felt this energy from you, and I'm feeling it especially now. And I always knew that you'd be amazing to play with, but I had no idea how amazing." Now I sound like this is my ego going up, but to have the ability to have connection and hear beautiful words and say beautiful words, that's the most perfect aftercare anybody can ever give. When I feel as though you care for me and I care for you just as equally, that's perfect aftercare. And I will always ask you to write in my book for me as part of that aftercare, because the more and more intense scenes get, the harder and harder they are to remember. And I don't ever want to forget you.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. That is beyond 5-star.
Thank you.
Beautiful. All right, I'm giving it one more spin. Let's see where we go.
Kingfish afterglow food.
Afterglow food run.
Yeah.
So after a scene, we get hungry, don't we? So
it's milk and cookies for me every night. I mean, I have my chocolate chip cookies in there and my glass. That's an every night thing. What I will tell you, go ahead, give me the actual prompt.
Well, I think you were heading there. What's your ultimate go-to post-play comfort food?
When I go to a convention and I fly there, most of the time, if I'm getting in around dinner time, I will drive straight to Outback Steakhouse and order a prime rib.
Ooh.
Get the 16-ounce and eat half of it, unless I haven't eaten at all during the conference, which happens a lot. And I treat myself to prime rib and Outback. Now, the difficulty is that they only carry it on Friday and Saturday in most of the Outbacks these days. But that has always been my traditional post-conference try not to drop meal. It's expensive, but worth it to just come down to a safe landing, because Eminem's words are always in my ear that, "Oops, there goes gravity, back to reality." And it's like, No, I don't want to. I do not want to go back to there. I want to go back to there, to use my favorite Liz Lemon line. But
Beautiful.
yeah, that's my food thing.
Outback prime rib.
Outback
I myself love prime rib, so I'm with you.
You have to get it Outback style when they put all the spices on the top and bottom and then sear them in. They're really good.
Yum! You're making my mouth water, and now I'm hungry.
Well, I have some chocolate chip cookies and some milk. But
so, how can we support you, Catsuit? What are the ways? What are the ways, and where are the places that we can support you, find you, follow you? Talk to us.
It's easy to find me because I'm HiThereCatsuit almost everywhere. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not that hip. I'm not on Snapchat because I'm not that hip. I'm on Fleek though. Anyway, what does that mean? But I am on FatX, Instagram, and Blue Sky as HiThereCatsuit. I would love for you to subscribe to the Authentically Kinky Podcast, powered by Clips for Sale, because I'm contractually obligated to say it. And you can find that on YouTube at Authentically Kinky Podcast. We're also on Spotify. Give us a rating and review. Smash that like button. I never say that during the show, which is probably why people don't do it.
I like the primal energy in it. Smash that like button.
I will be teaching at Test Fest. Have 3 classes, including one that talks about accountability in the scene, based on some of the things that I've been going through. I mean, when is proper negotiation not enough, and when it comes back, how do you deal with it if you've done what you think is perfect negotiation and somebody still has a problem with it?
So you'll be teaching on that. That's great.
I'm probably going to get somebody else to teach with me. So it's not just me spewing a bunch of stuff, but that is something I want to talk about, because there are a lot of people who don't realize anything was wrong until it's gone wrong, and then people won't express it. I mean, I got slapped in the face once in the middle of a scene, and that's one of my hard limits, and they were all worried, and I said, no, we're okay. You just didn't know. As opposed to, this person violated my consent. You know, there are ways to communicate.
Yes.
And I want to talk about that.
Yeah, that's great.
And I believe I'm going to be at FetishCon. I'm scheduled to be at FetishCon. The Authentically Kinky is the official podcast of FetishCon. And so I go down there, and I like to shoot content. So if anybody wants to know how to support me, other than letting me enjoy the journey of kink with those who are willing, I love shooting content. I am a great damsel. People have said, because I was in television, I'm great to shoot content with, because if you have to make a cut for a camera, I'll remember the continuity.
It's a superpower.
Yeah. I mean, I had somebody that I shot with, and they went, "Oh my God, you're so perfect, because I don't have to try to figure out where I was. You remember exactly where it was that we picked up." So I love shooting content. And so I'm going to get to shoot some content next month with Jamie Knotts, which I'm really looking forward to. Tickling Harmony, who is here in Cincinnati. Every now and then I'll let her tickle me. Tickling's not my thing, but she is a wonderful content creator, and she's one of my friends. Works with Mars Solo, who's another great content creator here. But the biggest thing you can do to support me, be kind. Doesn't cost a damn thing. Just be kind to each other. Be understanding. Go with love. That's what we need right now.
That's what the world needs, is love.
As I say at the end of all my shows, I hope I've earned the privilege of your time, which is a line out of a HBO movie that Emma Thompson was in, and she played a late night talk show host. And that was her thing. I hope I've earned the privilege of your time. And I totally stole it from her. because that's the way I
How you
feel
feel.
after every one of my shows. Always remember consent and to love each other always. That's my tagline.
I love that. And I do love hearing it at the end of your shows. And I loved hearing it at the end of our show.
Thank you
And
so much for the amazing friendship, the amazing space you've provided me, the kindness, compassion, and empathy you have provided me. You helped me get through a very difficult week in my life. I have looked forward to doing this very much. I didn't know how it would come out because of all the blues I've been feeling, but I hope that each and every person who watched this show and will watch future Growl podcasts will realize that there is a wonderful world that we all love called kink, and we have to do our best to protect it.
yes.
Because if it goes away, so do our dreams. So thank you for being you.
Oh, what an absolutely powerful conversation you gave to me tonight. Really, that's a gift. And I thank you for the gift of your sharing in this space. It's been nothing short of extraordinary. I want that to land, because having a chat with you whenever we do is something that I feel so deeply. And it's not just me. You have this gorgeous impact that you just continue to make, and that ripples across the entire spaces that you occupy, both physically and virtually. And I need you to know that you are very relevant, and you are very necessary, and you are very loved in this community by just about every person I've ever heard speak about you. So I want to thank you for sharing this space with me. And to everybody tuning in, thank you for being here. Check the show notes. I'm gonna modify them a little bit just to include a couple of the cool things that came up creatively in our interview. And for everybody who knows me as a prepper, I want you to know I almost didn't follow my script tonight. Thank you very much, Catsuit. You've
That's my
inspired
influence.
me.
There you go.
So please, if everybody listening, like, subscribe, smash that notification bell. Hit me up with some comments, either here on YouTube or on any of our other platforms. I love hearing from you guys. We have a Patreon community now, a group on FetLife that has stirred up so many different conversations and lots of buzzing there. I love it. Plenty of ways for us to connect. And remember, you are my tribe, and you belong here. And I appreciate the fire that all of you bring to the Growl Pod community. And in case this is the first time that you've heard it today, I love you. I appreciate you. And I will see you all next week on the Growl.